App switcher. Dryad riddle. Close. Activate. Default. Dryad riddle. Home. Dryad riddle. Heading. Show stats. Button. You have to run as fast as your feet can carry you to keep up with Luna as she flies full speed towards the entertainment. Yay yay, Mr. Chuckle's super happy carnival of fun and awesomeness. The little West cries with joy. I'm going to look at the animals and win a Yeti bear and eat Banafee berries and go on all the rides till I'm sick, ellipsis, and then go and then again. Eventually you make it to the great, inflatable arch where all kinds of mythical creatures from the tallest giant to the tiniest pixie are all queuing up to get inside. Unfortunately you're forced to push through a few people to catch up with Luna, who is much too excited to wait for you. Oh there you are, Luna declares when you arrive, as if she was wondering where you'd gone. This is going to be so much fun. Ellipsis, you've got the money right. Ah, ellipsis, money. You mumble nervously as you rummage through your pockets. Yes, of course, you need to pay to get in, Luna states, matter-of-factly. Wait, humans don't go to the carnival for free, do you? You're so lucky. No, we have to pay, you correct her, turning your pockets inside out and confirming to yourself that they're well and truly empty. I just wasn't expecting to go to the carnival today. Silly Chloe, you should always expect to go to the carnival, Luna tells you pitifully, as if this were information that even the most dim-witted child should know. It's best to expect good things to happen all the time, that way you'll be ready for them when they do happen. Good advice, you tell Luna. But it doesn't change the fact that I don't have any money. Next, button. No money, huh? I can help you with that. A new voice enters the conversation, and you look straight in front of you to see a young, rather short boy with dark hair, long pointed ears and a scattering of freckles across the bridge of his nose. Pleased to meet you, human. My name's Thistle, and I can give you the money to get in if you give me something first. Thanks, but what do I have to give you? You ask the boy. An answer, he tells you. Answers might not be worth much in the human world, but they're very valuable here, so I'll give you a special riddle and if you give me the answer, I'll give you the answer. Make sense? You think about that for a second, not really, but I'll give it a try. Great, Thistle says. So answer me this. What has a head and a tail, but no legs, arms? Solve the riddle, radio button. Eat, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double tap to edit. Use the rotor to access misspelled. Text field is editing. Insertion point at end. Cap V. Victor, cap C. Char, caps T. Y, U, I, O. Oscar, O, I. N, I, V. B, N. N, space, go. You got it. Thistle congratulates you. You gave me the answer and the answer is a coin. One side has a head, the other has a tail, but no body, arms or legs in between. And since you gave me a coin, I'll give you a coin. Here, he says and tosses something shiny through the air. You catch it, but looking down you only see a small fragment of a coin, as if the actual coin had been cut into several pieces. Hey wait, this isn't a proper coin. What am I supposed to do with this? You call after Thistle, but by now he's already paid his entrance fee and disappeared into the hustle and bustle of the carnival. You are now at the front of the queue being loomed over by a terrifying-looking clown with a huge frown painted on his face. The clown is collecting entrance fees and you are very unsure how you're going to explain to him that you don't have any money. Luckily the situation resolves itself when the clown speaks to you. Welcome to Mr. Chuckle's super happy carnival of fun and awesomeness, he says in a very gloomy and unenthusiastic voice. That'll be 1 piece of 8 please. Looking down at the silver coin fragment in your hand, you can only assume that it is actually 1/8 of a coin, or literally a piece of 8. You hand it over to the clown who accepts it as your entrance fee and you and Luna are allowed to pass through. Hooray! Cheers Luna! Can we go on one of the rides now? Please, pretty please? Yeah, sure, you tell Luna, but suddenly, become unsure of the idea when you see what kind of rides this particular carnival has to offer. You see Thistle jump on the ghost train, but it looks like it has real ghosts floating around it, which makes you question how safe the ride might be. There is a ride labeled Helter Skelter, which appears to be a long, spiral slide descending into a great, flaming pit from which horrific screams of pain and torture can be heard. The roller coaster appears to be a giant drinks coaster rolling on its side, causing all kinds of destruction wherever it goes. The waltzer consists of a stage on which several couples are dancing around in circles, and the carousel is just a fairy called Carol who is trying to sell stuff. She offers you some popcorn on the cob. You decline. Next, button. Oh, what about the teacups? Luna suggests, I love the teacups. You have a look at the circle of giant cups with a large teapot in the middle and decide it's probably the closest thing to a genuine carnival ride that you're going to find in this place, so you agree. Just as you are about to get on the ride, another gloomy-looking clown stops you. That'll be 1 piece of 8 please, he says, holding out his hand. Ah, ellipsis, see, I kind of spent my last piece of 8 to get in, you tell the clown. That is very unfortunate, the clown says in a mopey voice. I suppose you will have to pay and answers then. Oh sorry, I forgot, Luna says before whispering in your ear, I don't suppose you've got any more answers, do you? What am I supposed to answer? You ask the clown. Just a simple question. What starts with a T, ends in a T and has T in it? Solve the riddle, radio button, checked, 1 of 3. Eat, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double tap to text field. Insertion point at end. Cap R. Romeo, cap T. Tap cap T. B. F. D. S. A. P. O. I. U. Y. T. R. E. E. T. G. F. D. S. A. A. P. Pop P. O. Oscar O. I. U. Y. T. T. Space. Go. The clown takes a step to the side. Answer accepted. A teapot starts with a T, ends with a T and it has T in it. That answer earns you 1 piece of 8, he says, putting another coin fragment in your hand. Now, the ride will be 1 piece of 8, please. And so Luna takes the coin out of your hand again and gives it back to the clown. With that, you follow Luna onto the ride, who looks like she's about to burst with excitement. Thank you for choosing the teacups at Mr. Chuckle's Super Happy Carnival of Fun and Awesomeness. Enjoy the ride, the clown says in the most depressing tone you think you've ever heard. Please remain seated and keep your hands and arms inside the teacup at all times. Milk and sugar are on the left. Huh? You ask as you sit yourself in one of the giant teacups. At first you're not sure if you heard the clown right, but when you turn to your left, you see that there are indeed several jugs of milk along with the stacks upon stacks of sugar cubes. Yay! I'm having 3 sugars with mine. Luna cheers, flying over to the sugar cubes, carrying them one at a time over to your teacup and dropping them inside. Ready? Ah, ellipsis, Luna. You lower your voice as the wisp flies into the teacup beside you. What's going on? Why are you putting sugar in the cup? Oh, I'm sorry, Chloe. Did you want milk as well? Luna asks. I'm afraid it's too late. The ride's already started, but we can add some after they pour the tea. Next, button. Tea? You ask, suddenly extremely worried. Well, of course. Isn't that what teacups are for? She points out, as if this should all be completely obvious to you. Oh look, the teapot's tipping. Oh no, you mutter, looking up to see the giant spout of the teapot slowly lowering towards you. Crying out with terror, you leap from the teacup just in time. Whee! Cheers Luna before a fountain of boiling hot tea descends upon her, filling the cup and burying the wisp with it. For the finale, a huge giant picks up the teacup and places it on top of the roller coaster ellipsis. Well, at least it won't leave a stain. Luna, you gasp, hurrying to the edge of the teacup to make sure she's all right. Luckily she emerges from the teacup, spitting out a mouthful of tea without seeming disturbed in the slightest. Again, let's go again. The wisp squeals with joy before opening her eyes and seeing you standing over her. Oh Chloe, what are you doing there? Didn't you like the ride? Not exactly, you tell her, starting to get quite fed up with this crazy dream world. This isn't how I remember the teacup ride from when I was little. How does the teacup ride work in the human world? Asks Luna. Well, ellipsis, they just sort of spin around really fast, you tell her. Really? Luna asks, sounding quite surprised. What's the point in that? Just spinning a teacup round and round with no tea in it? Don't you get thirsty? You humans are really strange. And with that, Luna flies out of the cup, shaking hot tea off herself and you both move on. Next, button. As you explore the carnival, you come across a series of carnival games where you can win prizes. You see several mythical creatures armed with pirate hooks chasing some unfortunate waterfowl around the carnival, which you can only assume is the Dream Realm's very real interpretation of Duck or Duck. Meanwhile, over at the Coconut Shy, there is only a line of empty coconut stands and a frustrated clown unable to coax the timid coconuts out of their box. Happens every year, the clown complains to you. I keep telling them we should get a coconut confident, but nobody listens to me. Eventually you come across a prize booth, which seems to contain all kinds of weird and wonderful prizes, but one in particular grabs your eye. A small, clear bag filled with water and a little fish swimming inside, only this is a very special fish. It is a pure golden color, not yellow or orange like most goldfish, but actual shining gold, so bright that it reflects light from every scale. The fish are cute, aren't they? I like the dream catchers better though. You hear a female voice and look down to see a short young girl with large, round glasses and messy brown hair tied in pigtails. Hi, I'm Bramble, the girl introduces herself. Chloe, you give your name in return. Is that a real goldfish? You ask the girl. Oh yes, solid gold in fact, she tells you. I was actually wondering if you could help me. One of the clowns said he'd give me a prize if I answered a riddle for him, but I couldn't get it right. I'll give you a piece of 8 if you can solve it for me. I'll give it a shot, you tell the girl. What's a riddle? Let's see if I remember, ellipsis, Brambles mutters. It was something like this. Those are newborn baby goldfish in those bags. Let's say you won one and took it home. Now those fish take 3 months until they're mature and ready to have babies. When they're grown up, the fish can give birth once a month and whenever they give birth, they always have 10 babies. Knowing all of this and assuming none of the goldfish die, how many goldfish would you have after a year? Solve the riddle, radio button. At, E, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double tap to text field. Insertion point at end. Dictate. Emoji. Numbers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, space, go. 1, ellipsis, Bramble mutters quietly, thinking about it for a moment before suddenly smiling. Of course, 1, you need at least 2 fish for them to breed, so it doesn't matter how long you wait, there'll still only be 1. That was the answer I needed. I can go and get a prize with that, thank you. Here, you've earned it, Bramble says, giving you a piece of 8 before running over to one of the gloomy clowns to claim her prize. Hey Chloe, do you want to try and win a prize? Luna asks you. You're getting really good at this whole riddle thing. Sure, why not? You tell her, not really sure what else to do while you're here. How many pieces of 8 do I need to get a prize? That depends what you want, she tells you. For 5 pieces of 8 you can get a dream catcher, those are pretty. For a whole 8 you could get a voodoo doll or yeti bear, those are really cute. For 10 pieces of 8 you can get the funfair fungus, or for 2 8s you can get ellipsis. Whoa, you interrupt the wisp. Did you say funfair fungus? Yep, for 10 pieces of 8, Luna says, nodding her head. And fungus is another word for mushroom, right? Yeah, she says happily, though it takes a few more seconds before she finally realizes what you're getting at. Oh, you're supposed to be collecting mushrooms, aren't you? Yes I am, you say, quite pleased that you now know what you're looking for. And I already have 1 piece of 8, so I only need 9 more to win it. Next, button. Then let's find some, Luna says excitedly. Oh, but first can we go bobbing for toffee apples? Oh, alright, you reluctantly agree, following Luna to a large, wooden barrel filled with water and several toffee apples that are floating on the surface. Unfortunately for Luna, somebody else is already playing. After waiting a few moments, a strange child emerges from the water with a toffee apple in its mouth. The creature has leaf-like wings and short, red hair and a literal pixie cut. Honestly, you can't quite tell whether it's a boy or a girl. The child mumbles something with the apple still in its mouth, of which of course you can't understand a word. After realizing this, they spit out the apple to talk to you properly. Don't mind me, there's plenty of apples to go around. The child tells you in a voice which is unfortunately androgynous, so you still can't tell whether they're a boy or a girl. Ellipsis, now where did I leave mine? They ask themselves before fishing around in the water to try and find it. Do you want us to help you look for it? You ask the creature, more for your own benefit than for theirs. After all, you don't really want to win a half-eaten apple. I'm not sure, they reply, maybe, ellipsis, if you can answer this riddle for me. Another riddle. Somehow answering riddles seems to solve every problem you come across in this world. Sitting down cross-legged in front of you, the creature introduces itself. I'm Robin, by the way, and there's a piece of 8 in it for you if you get this riddle right. I am empty as air, I weigh nothing, but if you put me in a barrel, I make it lighter. What am I? Solve the riddle. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 3. At, eat, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double tap to edit, text field. Insertion point at end. Cap F. Cap H. Cap H. Toolbar. Next, D R. T Y U I O. O D. C. X Z. Sh L. L. Hole. T. R. E. E. Space. Go. That's right, a hole. Robin congratulates you before pulling some kind of corkscrew out of their pocket and jabbing it in the barrel. The water slowly drains until only the toffee apples are left, and Robin reaches in to grab the one with a very clear set of teeth marks in it. Found it. They cheer, taking a big bite out of the sugar-coated fruit. They then reach into their pockets, pulling out a piece of 8 and tossing it to you. With that, Robin walks over to the most dismal-looking clown you've seen so far, probably because the poor thing has his arms and head strapped in a rather uncomfortable-looking set of stocks. And on the subject of holes, I've got another riddle, says Robin. I'm on dry land, I'm full of holes, yet I'm full of water. Solve the riddle. Radio button. At, eat, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double text field. Insertion point at end. Cap F. Cap D. Cap S. Cap R. T Y U I O P. P O. S O C. V B N. N D. F G. G E. Echo. E. Space. Go. Right again, it's a sponge. And with that, Robin sticks their hand in a bucket of water, pulling out a soaking wet sponge and throwing it directly into the poor clown's face. Got him. The child cheers mischievously. Here you go, human, another piece of 8 for you. Robin says, throwing another coin fragment your way and rushing over to pick up the sponge, dunking it in water and preparing to hurl it at the clown again. Luckily for the clown, Robin gets suddenly distracted by Luna. Oh Chloe, look, it's the animals. The West squeals with joy and flies over to what looks to be some kind of petting zoo with various animals wandering around. Looking to where Luna is pointing, you can't help but chuckle. Wow, is that what you call it? Luna asks, fascinated. I forgot, you're from the human world, so you must see all these non-magic animals all the time. You're so lucky. Luna then proceeds to flutter around the petting zoo, pointing out all the incredible animals she finds along the way. Look, there's a fawn with a ram's head and a cockatrice with the body of a chicken, a land sea serpent and a phoenix that's had its fire put out, ellipsis. The animals are just a goat, a rooster, a snake and a regular bird, but you don't bother correcting the Wisp anymore since you don't want to spoil her fun. And so, she carries on flying around the carnival, looking for more regular, everyday animals to gawk at. Next, button. Cool, you hear Robin gasp as he, or she, hops the fence into the petting zoo. That cactus cat doesn't have any spines. Hey human kid, is it safe to touch them? Yeah, go ahead, you tell the child, who proceeds to pet the kitten with complete fascination. Oh, look in the river here. Luna beckons you over. There's loads and loads of mermaids with fish heads and ellipsis. Oh my, yeah, they're pretty impressive, you mumble, not wanting to dampen the Wisp's enthusiasm. Oh dear, you hear one of the sullen clowns mumbling to himself as he sits by the river. These things always happen to me. Couldn't get somebody else to do it, had to be poor old Droopy. Oh dear. What's wrong? Luna asks as she flutters over to Droopy the clown. Aren't you happy that you get to play with all these awesome animals? Not really, Droopy moans. You see, they've given me the job of getting some of the animals and food to the other side of the river, but I can't do it. Why not? You ask. Next, button. Sighing, Droopy the clown gets to his feet and picks up one of the baby animals. You see this here? It's a very rare creature indeed. A manticore with the head of a chimera and the tail of a sphinx. That's a lion cub, you tell him. Oh, you human children don't appreciate anything, the clown complains. Anyway, you see that creature hopping about? The jackalope with no antlers? You mean the rabbit? You ask. Whatever you want to call it, Droopy grumbles. Well, you see, I have to get these two creatures to the other side of the river, along with a bucket of non-golden apples to feed the animals later. Here's the problem though, the little rowboat only has enough room for me to take one thing at a time. Why's that a problem? Luna asks. Well, these animals are very tame. They're good as gold when I'm around, wouldn't even think of causing any mischief, but the second my back's turned, that antlerless jackalope, or rabbit if you like, would eat the whole bucket of non-golden apples. Then again, that's only if the little lion thing doesn't gobble up the rabbit first. So here's the problem in a nutshell. I need to get the lion, the rabbit and the apples across the river. The boat can only carry me and one other thing at a time. If I leave the lion alone with the rabbit will eat the rabbit. If I leave the rabbit alone with the apples will eat the apples. How do I get all three things? Solve the riddle. Radio button. Ask, eat, next, button. What should I take across the river first? Tell him to take the lion first. Tell him to take the rabbit first. Radio button. Tell, next, button. Droopy rows his boat to the other side of the river. Now Droopy is on the other side of the river with the rabbit, whilst the lion and the apples are on your side of the river. Okay, what should I do now? Calls Droopy. Tell him to row back on his own. Radio button. Check. Tell him to row back with the next, button. Droopy rows his boat back to your side of the river. Now Droopy is on your side of the river with the lion and the apples, whilst the rabbit is on the other. So, what should I do now? Tell him to row back on his own. Radio. Tell him to take the lion across. Radio button. Check. Tell. Next, button. Droopy rows his boat to the other side of the river. Now Droopy is on the other side of the river with the lion and the rabbit, whilst the apples are on your side of the river. Okay, what should I do? Tell him to row back on his own. Radio. Tell him to row back with the lion. Radio. Tell him to row back with the rabbit. Radio button. Check. Next, button. Droopy rows his boat back to your side of the river. Now Droopy is on your side of the river with the rabbit and the apples, whilst the lion is on the other. So, what should I tell him to row back on his own? Tell him to take the rabbit across. Tell him to take the apples across. Radio. Next, button. Droopy rows his boat to the other side of the river. Now Droopy is on the other side of the river with the lion and the apples, whilst the rabbit is on your side of the river. Okay, what should I do now? Tell him to row back on his own. Radio. Tell him to row back with the lion. Radio. Tell him to row back on next, button. Droopy rows his boat back to your side. So, what should I do now? Tell him to row back on his own. Tell him to take the rabbit across. Radio button. Check. Next, button. Droopy rows his boat across the river one more time and finds that finally, the lion, the rabbit and the apples are all on the far side of the river. I've done it, Droopy mopes. Oh joy of joys, I finally have all three things across the river. Thank you, human child. Oh happy day, how completely ecstatic I am, he says, though his voice sounds just as gloomy as it ever did. Well done girl, here, take this piece of 8 as a reward. Droopy then takes the piece of 8 out of his pocket and Luna flies over the river to fetch it for you. That's 4, you tell Luna as she drops the coin fragment in your hand. So we only need 6 more pieces of 8. Come on, let's go find some more riddles to solve. But I want to play fetch with the one-headed dog, Luna complains. Later, you tell her and head out of the petting zoo. As you walk through the carnival you come across a group of children sitting on the grass playing dice and card games. You notice one little winged boy with white hair and 2 horns protruding from his head who is sitting all by himself. Eventually the boy notices you and calls out. Hey you, human girl. The child calls to you. What's your name? Chloe, you tell him. Hi there Chloe. I'm Swift, and do I have an offer for you? The boy says excitedly, couldn't find a better offer, you'll never get such a great offer again. Boy, oh boy, were you lucky to find me so that I could offer you this amazing opportunity. Opportunity of a lifetime. Why you couldn't, ellipsis. No thanks, you tell the boy. You might just be a child, but even you're old enough to know that when somebody tries that hard to make an offer sound appealing, it's got to be a next button. Hey wait, Swift objects, you haven't even heard my offer yet. How many pieces of 8 do you have so far kid? 4, you tell him. Well, how would you like to double that right now? He asks. Well, it stops you in your tracks. Having 8 pieces of 8 would get you a lot closer to winning the funfair fungus, but somehow you doubt it's that simple. What's the catch? Here's the deal, he says, twiddling his fingers. I ask you a riddle, just one riddle. If you get it right, I'll double your winnings and you walk away with 8 pieces of 8. You can guess as many times as you like, but if you give up, I get all 4 of your pieces of 8. Deal? You think about this for a second, but before you have time to consider whether it's worth the risk, Luna answers for you. Deal, she cries happily, looking very pleased with herself. Wonderful, the boy says, clapping his hands together. So, here's your riddle. Kings and queens are high rulers and have some say that Chester's useless and has no, even without Jill by his side, Jack still, but I ask you, who is the commoner that solve the riddle, radio button. Ask, eat, next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double tap, text field. Insertion point at end, cap T. Tap, cap T. Tag, cap R. Cap, A. Alt, cap A. F. C. Charlie, C. Toolbar, next, T. R. E. E. Dictate, space, go. Swift takes a deck of cards from his pocket and starts to shuffle them. Absolutely right, he declares before taking a card from the top of the pile and revealing it to be the ace of spades. In cards, we use ace instead of the 1, ellipsis, but while it might be the lowest number in the deck, when you play it in a card game, it outranks even the king and queen. And as promised, ellipsis, with an empty hand, Swift reaches behind your ear, but when he pulls it back he reveals 4 more pieces of 8 in his palm. You've earned every last one, he tells you. Spend them well. And with that, Swift goes back to shuffling his deck and trying to call over other people to cheat out of their hard-earned coins. Putting together all your winnings, you now have 8 pieces of 8 in total. Wow, that's a whole 8, Luna says excitedly. That's loads of money. Can we buy some sweets now? We're supposed to be saving up for the funfair fungus, you remind Luna, but she's already started to fly towards the food carts. Before she can get there though, she crashes into a fair-haired young girl with butterfly wings and what looks like a large acorn as a hat. Next, button. Ouch, grumbles Luna, rubbing a small bump on her head. Sorry, I was after sweets, she explains to the girl. Oh, that's okay, the girl says happily. I just bought a big bag of sweets. You can have one of mine if you like. And with that, the girl holds out the bag, offering it to Luna. Wow, thank you. Luna cheers, flying headfirst into the brown paper bag and emerging with a multicolored sweet that's almost as big as she is. Yeah, thanks, you tell the girl, very grateful that you don't have to use up any of your pieces of 8 to buy sweets. I'm Chloe. The little West covered in sugar is Luna. I'm Maple, the girl tells you. I've been saving up my pieces of 8 all day so that I could buy the biggest bag of sweets at the carnival. I actually have one piece of 8 left over. You can have it if you answer this riddle for me. Well, that's lucky, 'cause I could really use another piece of 8. What's a riddle? Well, today I bought a bag of mixed sweets from a great big ogre in a little sweet shop. Even for an ogre, he was cute. Well, today I bought... Solve. Ask Luna for a hint. Solve the riddle. Solve the riddle. Next, button. What is the text field? Double tap, text field. Insertion point at end. Cap R. Cap S. Cap at toolbar. Next, T. R. E. W. W. E. Echo. E. E. R. T. T. U. I. O. P. A. S. S. Space. Go. There you go. Maple congratulates you. Of course he weighs sweets. When you work at a sweet shop, you need to weigh the sweets before you sell them to find out how much they cost. Well anyway, here you go, a piece of 8, Maple says before tossing the fragment of coin your way. You catch the piece of 8 in midair. Thanks Maple, you tell the girl. Come on Luna, we only need one more. One more? You hear a very old, very croaky voice speaking to you. Turning around, you see another clown, though this one looks very different from the others. The first thing that separates him from the others is that he's extremely old. In fact, he looks older than any human being you have ever seen. His makeup is all cracked and flaking where his skin is so wrinkled, and though he has a frowning face like the rest of the clowns, you do not think this is because he's sad or gloomy. It looks more like a happy face was originally painted on the clown, but over time his face became so wrinkled that the skin around his mouth drooped downwards to form a frown. The clown has enormous eyebrows and white, curly hair on the sides of his head, though he's completely bald on top. He is hunched over and leaning on a crooked staff which is topped with what looks like some sort of clown hat, pointed at the top, brightly colored and adorned with POMPOMS and a large, yellow flower. One more, did you say? The clown repeats itself. One more of what, may I ask? Piece of 8, you reply. I need one more to win a prize. Next, button. Oh, I see, mutters the old clown. Well, so happens, I just happen to have a piece of 8 right here in my pocket, young lady. It's all yours, if you think you're smart enough to win it from me. Yay yay, cheers Luna as she hovers in front of the old clown's face. You're a nice old man, I like you, even though you smell like steamed cabbage. I'm guessing you've got a riddle for me? You youngsters today are always in such a hurry. Don't know why you feel the need to rush everything, you've got all the time in the world. Me on the other hand, I don't know if I'll be here long enough to finish this conversation. Now pay attention, you hear? I might keel over any second now, so you'll want to get this right. One day, a king was walking across a checkered field when he came across an enemy knight. The solve the riddle, radio button. Ask, eat a magic bee. Next, button. What is the answer? Text field. Double text field. Insertion point at end. Cap X. X-ray. Cap C. Charlie. Caps R. X. Z. Shift L K J H. H R. E. E R. D. S. C S. S. Space. Go. Ha! The old clown grumbles. Chess, you repeat yourself. Chess? He asks, looking completely baffled. What in the world is that? It's the answer to the riddle, you tell him. The king was part of a chess set. He moved across the checker chessboard to take a rival knight, but then the queen moved forward and put the king in checkmate, so he couldn't move anymore. So, the game was chess. Was it? Asks the clown as if he never knew the answer to the riddle in the first place. You kids and your newfangled board games. In my day we all had to play with unusually shaped rocks, and we liked it. Still, I suppose you solved my riddle, ellipsis. Here you are, I promised you a piece of pie, didn't I? The clown asks, taking a rather ominous-looking foam pipe from his giant, baggy pockets. No, 8. You correct him, shielding your face. You promised me a piece of 8. Oh, did I? Doesn't sound like something I would promise. Children these days, you always want more money, doesn't matter how much we give you, it's never enough, the old man grumbles to himself as he rummages through his pockets, pulling out a piece of 8 and handing it to you. Well, this'll be enough for me, you tell the clown. I only need 10 pieces of 8 to buy the funfair fungus. Next, button. Funfair fungus? The man asks, is that so? And who told you that, might I ask? I did, declares Luna, fluttering in front of the old clown's face. I remember being at this carnival when I was just a wisp of a wisp, and I remember it cost 10 pieces of 8 to buy the funfair fungus. Yes, well things have changed since then, says the clown. See, there's only one funfair fungus left in this whole carnival, and I have it right here, he says, gesturing to his walking staff. Now that you look at it again, the stick looks almost like a long stem, whilst what you assumed was a clown hat is actually the mushroom itself, with the pom-poms making up the spots that you would find on certain kinds of mushroom or toadstool. Oh dear, ellipsis, you say to yourself. You see, the thing is, I really need that mushroom to get home. And I need the mushroom to walk, the old man tells you. You can't tell me how much this staff is worth, young lady. I own this carnival and everything in it. Only I get to decide who's worthy of the funfair fungus. Oh my gosh, Luna gasps. You're really him, the actual Chuckles the clown. The one and only, Chuckles says, sounding quite pleased at being recognized. So, you want this poor, old man's walking stick, do you, girl? Well, how do I know you deserve it? In my day, if you wanted something, you needed to earn it first. Next, button. But I did earn it, you object. Yes, but how hard were those riddles? It sounds familiar, you tell him. Well, I'd wager you've never heard it told like this. Ellipsis, children. Chuckles calls, and puts two fingers between his lips to release a loud and piercing whistle that can be heard throughout the whole carnival. At the sound of the whistle, the 5 children you met at the carnival today come running. First, at the front of the line stands Thistle. Next to Thistle, on his right, is Maple. On Maple's right is Robin, and on Robin's right is Swift. Finally, at the end of the line on Swift's right, stands Bramble. There you all are, says Chuckles, smiling as the children all fall into place. Right, human, are you ready for your riddle? Ready as I'll ever be, you tell him. All right, the old clown says, clapping his hands together, here we go, ellipsis. Next, button. Now these 5 children are, now I will tell you the children's species, favorite, now I will tell you their favorite foods are as, and the prizes they all won are as, in order to help you solve this riddle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the child who won a dream catcher is standing next to the child, 12, 13, 14, 15, so, ask Luna for a hint, solve the riddle, eat, next, button. So, which child has the 24, Thistle, radio button, Maple, radio, Robin, Swift, Ramble, next, Swift, radio button, check, next, button, Funfair fungus, Swift has the goldfish, you announce, sounding quite sure of yourself. The imp gives you a devilish grin and, with the tip of his forked tail, pulls out a little clear bag containing the solid goldfish. Good job, human kid, Swift congratulates you. Had to con some poor troll out of every piece of meat he had to win this little beauty. Well done, Chloe, Maple cheers. We knew you could do it, adds Bramble. Yeah, lucky guess, Thistle mutters. Can I get back to throwing wet sponges at the clowns now? Asks Robin. Yes, off you all go, Chuckles grumbles, waving his hand dismissively, and the children all scatter to get back to whatever they were doing before. Well, young lady, I suppose you must be a lot smarter than I gave you credit for, the old clown says as he hobbles over to you. You truly are worthy to carry the Funfair fungus after all. Well, here it is, as promised, Chuckles says as he holds the prize to you. I honestly don't think anybody could deserve it more. Next, button. Thank you, you tell the clown, as you reach out to take the staff. But, ellipsis, what about you? You say, hesitating. Will you be able to walk without it? I don't know, Chuckles says, let's see. Tossing the Funfair fungus to you, the old, decrepit clown stands up straight and stretches first one leg and then the other. You know, my legs feel absolutely fine, Chuckles tells you, and then proceeds to dance a little jig on the spot. Never better, in fact. You know what, child, I think it's fair to say there's nothing wrong with my legs at all. But if you could walk fine all along, then why were you using the Funfair fungus as a walking stick in the first place? You ask. Ellipsis, Chuckles thinks about this for a moment before laughing to himself. You know what? He asks. I can't quite remember. And with that, the old clown does 3 backward somersaults in a row before cartwheeling on his way. Ellipsis, well, that was fun, Luna says happily to herself. And I'm one step closer to getting home, you add. Can we get more sweets now? No, you tell the West firmly before you and Luna leave the funfair in search of more mushrooms. Next, button. Image, the clear, next, button. The haunted house, the museum, radio button. Checked, next, button. The museum, Luna. 5:35, orient, 43% battery power, control center. Airplane, flashlight, switch button, selected, screen,